Hi there, ye scallywags. This here be Captain Tony with Walk the Plank. Oh, no, I mean walk in the park.
It's September 19th, and this is, that's the date this is being recorded on, I should say. And this is International Talk Like a Pirate Day, so I thought I'd play the part just for a moment. Episode 21 of Walk in the Park. And we're going to take a number of trips around the region, but
if you're out on Cayuga like today, you can go and you don't have to obey any rules and laws, maritime laws or anything like that. And if you want to get some booty, you can go to some of them cabins that have been disoccupied and go in there and take some booty and set the place on fire and leave.
Nah, just kidding. Okay, let's see what we're going to do today. We'll go around to various places in the area. Ooh, we're going to go to Robert H. Treman State Park and Watkins Glen. We'll take a flight over Cayuga Lake and Stewart Park and so forth. We'll go to a waterfall in Buttermilk Falls State Park, and we'll take a look at white snakeroot. So let's start off our show here. We're going to go up in the air with Bill Hecht. Bill Hecht is a frequent contributor to this show with his aerial photographs he likes to take. He's an area resident, and he flies around an airplane from time to time on a nice day and takes pictures. So we're looking down here on Ithaca Falls, and let's see what else we got coming up here. Yeah, Ithaca Falls from above. You can see the just left of center, the top of the waterfall, and you go down to the bottom, and there is Ithaca Falls. Obviously, an autumn shot, not taken recently. The other one was taken recently, earlier this month in September. But Bill also likes history, so he went through and he goes and finds all these historic documents, many of them online, but sometimes he finds them and scans them himself. Appleton's Journal, and let's see, Literature, Science, and Art. Okay, so that is a picture of Ithaca Falls drawn back in 1870. This was from October 1870. So that's kind of cool that people have been drawing and photographing these beautiful waterfalls and gorges for well over 100 years. So here's another page from that same issue, Appleton's Journal, and I'll read what the writer of the article that accompanies this drawing said. This an excerpt. In summer, these ravines are frequented by the people about them and by visitors whose numbers increase year by year as the story of the wild, cooled retreats spreads abroad. After an after-tea walk from the hotels takes the visitor to Ithaca from the crowded streets into the midst of nature's fairest eccentricities. In winter, also, the gorges are frequented for the rare spectacles in icework which form about the cataracts. In spring and autumn, when freshets prevail, the falls on the larger streams present exhibitions of sublime power, and the roar of waters completely encircles the city. Ithaca is gorgeous. They knew it back then. So this is a picture of Lucifer Falls and what's now, or actually what they called then, Enfield Falls. And then later in the 1800s, for some reason, it was renamed Lucifer Falls. I guess it gave it more of a ominous sounding name. There's a place called Devil's Kitchen up there that was named with that same spirit. And this is a more modern picture of the falls from the side, actually a location that you're not supposed to go to anymore, but I took this a number of years ago. But this is a segue to things that are going to be happening in the park in the near future, including on September 29th, Saturday, September 29th, well, in the Upper Park, this is the old mill in the Upper Park, there will be Heritage Day. So I'll read from the press release for the Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park. On Saturday, September 29th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., the Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park will host Heritage Day in the Upper Park. The members of the Friends will provide tours of the historic mill and its operations, exhibits from both the Civilian Conservation Corps, camp that existed in the 1930s near the mill, and from archaeological investigations of the former hamlet of Enfield Falls that once thrived around the mill will be on display. So let's get a picture of this is actually a display that's in the mill that shows the entire hamlet that preceded the park that was in the 19th century. It was a little milling community, what they call an agricultural service hamlet. Archaeology students, directed by Cornell professor and Friends member Shireen Bauer, and in the Department of Landscape Architecture at Cornell, will be digging at the site of the former hamlet of Enfield Falls and will welcome visitors. Foundations of several buildings from the hamlet have been located and are marked. And let's see, environmental educator Josh Teeter from the Finger Lakes State Parks will conduct tours of the gorge. Also, this was the site, as it mentioned, of a CCC camp. There's a little trail behind the mill, and you can find this plaque back where the old camp was. Here's an old photograph of early days of the CCC camp that was in Upper Enfield, or Upper Robert Treman State Park, actually up behind the mill. So you can learn a lot about those things going on. This is a new exhibit that's gone in that has in drawers artifacts from houses that were in the 19th century community. And then up on the wall are broken dishes from the CCC camp that I guess were thrown out. But those were dishes that were actually eaten off by the CCC camp members. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's see what we've got coming up next here. Give me back. We're going to go over to another park. We're going to go to Watkins Glen State Park now for a little while. Take a look here. Oh, this is another Bill Hecht scan here of an old stereograph. Stereographs are, well, here's another stereograph here. These are pictures that were taken by two cameras side by side, so that when you put them in a viewer, you get a three-dimensional view. So you may have seen these sort of things. This is a piece of one. This is looking out of the beginning of the gorge at Watkins Glen back in the 1800s, the early days. This is probably actually in the 1860s. The gorge was opened up to the public in 1863, and there still was an old mill there, which I think was a plaster mill, and there was also a grist mill nearby, which I've never seen a picture of, I don't think. And this was a catwalk, a walkway that was built into the, here's a picture of it, probably from the mill, into the gorge. So right in the center you see a staircase that goes up and a walkway into the gorge. But just to the right of center, you'll see a structure which actually was a flume trough that brought water from the gorge to the mill, to the old mill, and ran it when it was running. But it was destroyed by fire at some point and removed. So we're going to go up into the gorge with a modern picture here. This is the first section beyond the main entrance where you would park your car. And this is called, used to be called Glen Alpha. And there's big waterfalls up from there, cavern cascades in the back. You can't quite see that. But if you turn right and look across the gorge, you'll see this wall with some trees in front of it. And I'm bringing attention to this because of those trees. Those trees were not there back in the 1800s, presumably, but they're a tree called Tree of Heaven. You may have heard of it. Ailanthus is the genus name of it, Ailanthus altissima. It's a tree that was imported from China back, I think, in the 1800s, and used as an ornamental and used as a city tree and so forth. But it has become a pest. And it spreads out all over the place. It grows very rapidly, particularly in disturbed soils like you find in the piles of debris at the bottom of a cliff. And it takes the place of native vegetation, and it is spreading into the gorge, at least into the sunny spots. Here's some of the flowers and the foliage, and then here is the seeds, and they spread. It grows very fast, and it doesn't live very long, maybe 75 years or so. And it's become a problem in the gorge in several places. It's very, very difficult to eradicate. I know they tried to pull it out of or cut it down in the main entrance where the worst infestation is. But it comes right back from its roots. And it was pointed out to me by a forest entomologist that another invasive species, this one an insect, in the gorge, if you take a look at these hemlock needles, you'll see little white dots. Those are the the seed cases of the woolly hemlock woolly adelgid, which has come into our area, but it's killing our hemlock trees. And although they're working on natural methods to control it, including the release of a beetle that eats them, this insect is spreading faster so far than these potentially promising control methods can catch up with. So it turns out in Watkins Glen there are lots of hemlock trees. You see the evergreens on the other side of the gorge here that are are threatened, and actually there's quite an infestation in Watkins Glen, and the beautiful evergreens in the gorge many of them are dying right now. So hopefully we can save some of them. There are some manual methods, but what may happen, this scientist pointed out to me, is that when the hemlock trees die, that may open up space for more of the tree of heaven, or that will grow in there, and that would be too bad. Okay, so let's see where we are now here. I'm going to check my choices. Oh, well, let's go to Cayuga Lake. All right, so this is another Bill Hecht picture, looking over Taughannock Falls State Park, looking over the gorge at Taughannock. And you see obviously the lake in the upper part there, but in the lower center is the south-facing north wall of the gorge, and then it bends around and goes up to the right center and out to Cayuga Lake at Taughannock Point. Now, where the big wall in the gorge there ends on the left, and it pinches out there, that's actually where Taughannock Falls is. So I'm going to take another Bill Hecht historic scan here from another stereograph perhaps. This is actually looking at the falls from above them, from the gorge above them. Right in the center of the picture, it's a light area. That's actually the top of the waterfall back in the 1800s sometime. But then we'll come back to the present, back in an airplane with Bill Hecht, looking right down on the waterfall. And this is what it's looked like for much of this summer. The water's been so low, the weather has been so dry that there's not a lot of water coming over, but it gets the cliff a little wet. That's about all. I think it's probably doing better now with our recent rains, though I haven't gone and checked. So, well, you yourself can go fly over Cayuga Lake and fly over Taughannock Falls and Ithaca this weekend, if you like, by going to the East Hill Flying Club's Fall Harvest Breakfast on Sunday the 23rd. And from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. they'll have their famous pancake breakfast, all you can eat for $7, and you can see other prices there for kids and so forth. $5 for under 10 and free for under 3 years. And the lower left, you see an airplane there. That's one of their airplanes that you, for $35, you can go up in the air and fly, take that route over Ithaca and Cayuga Lake and Taughannock Falls and see it for yourself. It's a really exciting experience. And in fact, I'm going to do that for you right now. We're going to take a little trip. They do this twice a year. They do this on Father's Day, and they do this in September, twice a year, the pancake breakfast. So what I'm going to show you was a video I made from this discovery flight on Father's Day 2.5 years ago. And let's see what we come up with here. It's going to take me a moment to get to the video up to playing here. Just wait for a second, and then I'll have it up and ready to go here.
Every Father's Day, Ithaca's East Hill Flying Club holds a public pancake breakfast at its hangar at the Ithaca Airport. This Father's Day, I took a 25-minute ride in one of their small airplanes piloted by a staff member. We flew north over Lansing. Soon, Cayuga Lake came into view. We could see back to Ithaca at the south end of the lake. Taughannock Point on the west shore came into view briefly. Looking north, we could see Milliken Point on the east shore, location of the area's coal-fired electric power generating plant. Cayuga Lake is the longest of the 11 Finger Lakes, stretching 38 miles from Ithaca in the south, nearly to the Erie Canal in the north. After flying across the lake, we were over Taughannock Falls State Park. The 215 feet high waterfall came into view. We flew above the upper gorge upstream from the big falls. As we banked around to begin heading back toward Ithaca, we could see the entire gorge, ending in Taughannock Point, projecting into Cayuga Lake. We glanced back north along Cayuga Lake's remarkable length. Looking south of the city, we could see the glacial trough of the Cayuga Inlet Valley, extending for miles south of the city itself. We flew across Ithaca back toward the airport. We could see Taughannock Point projecting into the lake as we began our descent.
How was everything good?
Okay. So that's what it's like to take one of the discovery flights over Cayuga Lake, Ithaca, Taughannock Falls, and you can do it yourself if you want on the East Hill Flying Club's Fall Harvest Breakfast this Sunday, the 23rd. Unless it's already past Sunday, because I run this show for a whole week, then into next week. So, okay, so now we're going to go try to get a little more up close to the world, and we'll go over to Buttermilk Falls State Park. And I have another short video to show you here, very, very short, that will take us into the gorge a little bit from actually this scene. This is one of the pools in the park. Not much water coming over the waterfall. This is actually one of the favorite swimming holes in the gorge, in the upper gorge, up near what's called Pinnacle Rock. But we'll just get this video up here. And ready to go here? Let's see. So really short. I particularly like those reflections in the pool there, but what a beautiful spot. And nearby in the gorge and many other places in the woods right now, there are late summer, early fall wildflowers blooming, and one of them that's quite common right now is this one. Now that's gotten very familiar to me over the years as I've wandered through our gorges, but look closer up, take a look at the blossoms. This is actually in the Asteraceae, the aster family, and it's, let me get the information out on it here. It's a common name is white snakeroot, also known as white sanicle or tall boneset, and Argyrotina altissima. Used to be a eupatorium, but it's been reclassified. The genus Eupatorium has undergone taxonomic revision by botanists. But in any case, it's a common wildflower right now. It's got multiple little disc flowers and some very wimpy ray flowers there, I guess they look like. And so it's very common in the gorges now. There's a little bit closer picture here. The one thing that's very significant about this plant is that it is poisonous, particularly to livestock. And let's see what I can come up here with. White snakeroot contains the toxin trematol. When the plants are consumed by cattle, the meat and milk become contaminated with the toxin. And when the meat or milk containing the toxin is consumed, the poison is passed on to humans. If consumed in large enough quantities, it can cause trematol poisoning. And it's also called milk sickness. And, okay, so here's an interesting, during the 19th century, when large numbers of European Americans from the East who were unfamiliar with snakeroot began settling in the plant's habitat of the Midwest and Upper South. Well, we've got it right here. Many thousands were killed by milk sickness. Notably, milk sickness was the cause of death in 1818 of Nancy Hanks Lincoln, mother of Abraham Lincoln. Well, I don't think we have to worry about that here. I don't know. I haven't heard much about it around here, but there it is, white snakeroot. It's a lovely plant. I find it to be a beautiful fall wildflowers, and we'll see many other wildflowers around. Let me check my time here, see what we got. Oh, we're running down a little bit here, so I'm going to go on to something else here. We're going to get back up in the air with Bill Hecht, and we're going to fly around Ithaca. He's another one of his photographs earlier this month. Cornell is in the lower left. Beebe Lake is right in the center, and of course Cayuga Lake is winding up to the north there. And we'll fly around over the city itself, looking over the city, over the lake. What an incredible view of the longest Finger Lake, 38 miles, as it snakes its way north. And then we'll come around to look from the west over Cass Park. You can see the baseball fields, the softball fields down there. And also Allen Treman Marina in the left center with all its room for 400 boats there. And right through the middle from the lower right up to the upper left to the lake is Cayuga Inlet. And then just right of center is Cascadilla Creek coming in. And right where they come in is the farmers market, the Ithaca Farmers Market. And then just up left of that is Newman Golf Course. So we get lots of parks in this picture. And then right along the shore in the upper center is Stewart Park. So let's go on down to Stewart Park. Let's see if I have enough time to do that. And I'll bring up another quick little video that I took recently. Okay, just to put you on the shore of Stewart Park for some of that peaceful, beautiful scene there. Winding down our show here, I'm just going to end with a couple of shots of sunset. I've been trying to get these in for a couple of weeks, actually. This is over Buttermilk Glen, and it's over Owl Gorge, actually, not Buttermilk Glen, in Buttermilk Falls State Park. Okay, well, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again soon.